Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, hi, my name is Sydney. I film cruelty-free beauty videos 3 days a week, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Today's video is one that I'm really excited about because today we are shopping our stash for dupes. You guys know these are one of my favorite videos to film. I get like a little thrill when I know that I can dupe a palette with something that I already own in my collection. And today's video, we are going to be duping the new Dominique Cosmetics Celestial Storm palette. I saw this palette on Trend Mood yesterday, I think, and I put up a poll on my Instagram asking you guys if you wanted to see a Shop My Stash for Dupes video on it, and you did. Overwhelming response of yes, so that's what we're here to film today. I do want to throw in a little bit of a disclaimer at the beginning. I haven't seen swatches of this palette. Kristen Dominique has not released a video on this palette yet, so I'm simply going off of what I see in the pan, what I see in this picture. So these shades may not be 100% accurate, but honestly, when it's all said and done, when it's all blended out on your eyes, will you really be able to tell the difference? I guess that's for you to decide. Personally, for me, I am okay with duping things like this because I know once I get it on my eyes, it's not going to be that different and I'll definitely be able to create similar looks, but that really is personal preference. So without further ado, let's hop into it. One thing I do want to note before we get into swatching this little palette that I created up, I don't always challenge myself to go in with singles, but this time, I don't know, I was just feeling like I missed my singles. I've stopped doing my single shake-up series because not too many of you seem very interested in that, but I do have another single shadow series kind of on the way, so keep an eye out for that. Make sure you subscribe. But today, I was just feeling a little creative with my singles, so that's what we're doing today. In the past, I have gone into like tons and tons of palettes and found really similar shade for shade dupes, but that's not really what I'm feeling today. So this is what we're gonna roll with today, and let's hop into the side-by-side comparison swatches. So the first shade in the Celestial Storm palette is called Face Painter, and it's this beautiful kind of deep royal purple shade, and to dupe that I went in with my Sydney Grace pressed pigment in the shade Face Painter. I think these are of a very similar tone and a very similar depth. This one is, I feel like, more of a satin finish versus a metallic finish, but honestly that doesn't really bother me too much. I tend to wear these kind of deeper shades as more of a deepener shade rather than an all over lid shade anyways, so this being a little bit more satin versus shimmery doesn't bother me one bit. The next shade in the Celestial Storm palette is called Stargaze, and this one, based on the pan, looks like a shimmery deep blue shade to me. And to dupe that, I went in with the On One shade from the ColourPop Chasing Rainbows palette. This one is, I feel like, very close. It looks like in the pan when it's reflecting, although this one does have a black base, and I feel like there's more blue shimmer in this than blue pigment per se, and I don't know if that one has a black base as well, but I think the shade is really gorgeous, and I think you get some really similar looks using the shade in the place of Stargaze. The next shade in the Celestial Storm palette is called Eternal Lights, and I'm having kind of a hard time pinpointing exactly what kind of shade this color is. In the pan, it looks like it could be a little gold, it looks like it could be a little taupey. Eventually, I landed on something a little bit more taupey, and that is the Winky Luxe shade Holographic. This one may even differ a little bit more from the one in that palette, but honestly, I don't own kind of a taupey shade or a taupey single. I own plenty of taupey shades, but I don't really own any taupey singles because they're not really my color. But this shade is really special. I feel like it would pair so beautifully with the colors already in this palette. I would describe this as a champagne, pinky champagne with a blue undertone. It is such a gorgeous shade, you guys. You will see it in the swatch. But I feel like it's so special and that it would really pair super well with the tones in this palette. The next shade in the palette is called Lucid Dream, and I would describe this one as a matte raspberry. I feel like I don't own a true matte raspberry single in my singles collection, but I do own this shade from ColourPop. It's called Manifest It. It's from their Chasing Rainbows palette. This one is definitely more of a hot pink than a raspberry, but again, I think it would be really beautiful with the colors that are already in there. It would just kick this palette up a notch, and honestly, I wouldn't mind that a bit. I feel like tonally these are quite similar, and they're very similar depth. This one's just a little bit brighter. Next shade in the palette is called Storm Dust, and for this one I dipped into another ColourPop single. This one is also from the Chasing Rainbows palette, and it's in the shade Realness. It's just a really beautiful, gorgeous, rich, dark chocolate brown. The next shade in the palette is one that I had some issues with. Not necessarily issues, I just didn't quite have a single that nailed it on its own. So for this one, it's called First of all, let me tell you the shade name. It's called Lunar Telescope. It's a matte, really warm, kind of pumpkin-y orange shade. At first, I dipped into this ColourPop single in Imperial. This one's from the All I See Is Magic palette. But once I got that down, I thought that the one in the palette just looked a little bit more vibrant, like it had a little bit more va-va-voom to it. So then I dipped into this single from Kaleido Cosmetics. I'm not sure what this shade name is. They're not on the back, so I will try to find it online. But I feel like those two together were much closer in tone. I don't know. I feel like the one in the Dominique Cosmetics palette may be just a little bit richer, a little bit more vibrant, but I feel like you could get a very similar look on the eyes with the combo of those two. Alright, now we are on to the second row, and the first shade in the second row is called Astrid Lust. It's a beautiful kind of mid to deep matte violet purple shade. I feel like this one that I have is a little bit more intense than that one is. I feel like it's just a tad bit more vibrant, a little bit more punch to it, but it's the shade 143 from ColourPop. I think tonally, and once you blend these on the eyes, they're going to look very, very similar, but I thought that this was the closest I was going to get in my singles collection. The next shade in the palette is called Mystic Ice, and I would describe this as a matte teal blue shade. Again, I didn't have something exact, but I do have something really similar that I think is really, really pretty, and this is the shade Bring It. This is also from the ColourPop Chasing Rainbows palette. I think that this one's a little bit deeper than the one in the Dominique Cosmetics palette, but honestly, I would prefer this kind of a shade in a palette anyways. I use these tones mostly to deepen up my outer corner, to use as liner, and I really would not mind having something just a little bit deeper to really anchor a look. This next shade in the palette I definitely did not get right, so I kind of provided an alternative. The shade in the palette is called Zero Gravity, and I would describe this as a true matte cool tone brown. I don't like cool tones, you guys. I don't own many cool tone singles, at least not neutral ones. So I went for the coolest, almost brown single shadow that I have, and that's the shade Cute Alert from ColourPop. This one definitely has much more plum to it. It's much richer almost, I want to say. It has more brown to it than gray like the other one does, but I do think that this would play really, really nicely with the blues and purples that are already in this palette, not to mention the orange. This with an orange crease would be so stunning. So I'm kind of providing an alternative to that shade. I didn't really have anything in my collection to strictly dupe it. And this next one I was a little bit lazy about, honestly. The next shade in the palette is called Black Matter, and it's, I think, based on the pan, it looks like a shimmery black, and I do not like shimmery blacks. I don't use them. I have a couple in my collection that I feel like are just wasted space, honestly. No offense if you like shimmery blacks, but they're just not my thing. I don't really see them serving a purpose in my collection. I really don't do all over black smoky eyes. I primarily use black to use as liner or really smoke out the outer edge of my eye. So instead, I just threw a matte black in here because I feel like they're way more useful to me. I just used Prism from ColourPop. This is also from the Chasing Rainbows palette, so that's kind of what I substituted in instead of that other black shade. This next shadow is one of my mystery singles, so I apologize if this might not be the most helpful dupe for the next shade, which is called Solstice. Now, I would describe Solstice as a soft, shimmery, peachy copper shade, and I just found a mystery single in my collection that looks quite similar, I believe. I did inherit some singles from a friend on Instagram about a year ago at this point because I had no singles in my collection and she was decluttering some, and this was one that came in that lovely little bundle, but it doesn't have a name and I don't know where it came from. So I think this is quite similar color-wise, but I don't know where it's from. I'm sorry. And then the final shade in the palette is called Fireball, and I would describe this as a rich metallic ruby shade, and to dupe that I went in with the shade Easy Go from ColourPop. I feel like these are pretty similar. Easy Go may be a little bit richer, a little bit more red, but honestly, based on the singular promo photo, I feel like they are quite similar. So what do you guys think of the dupe? What do you guys think of the palette? I didn't really share my thoughts in the beginning about the palette. I was just so excited to get to the duping. I do think it's a really pretty palette. I think the packaging is gorgeous and the color scheme is very pretty. It's definitely something that I'm going to draw inspiration from. But personally, I'm not going to be getting this palette, you guys. I was able to create a similar enough dupe to where I just feel like I don't need it, and it's like $42, which isn't unreasonable by any means. but I'm happy with what I have right now. I'm happy with the looks that I can create with my dupe palette. So let me know in the comments down below if you're getting this palette, if you're skipping it, if you're shopping in Dash for dupes. I would love to know. If you do it on Instagram, tag me on Instagram. I'll leave my Instagram handle on the screen right there. But I think that's gonna wrap it up for me today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I do kind of plan on doing maybe like a dupe look of maybe when some more looks come out with this palette on my Instagram using my dupe palette. I know a couple of you have requested that I insert more tutorials into my videos, so I am trying to do that, but this week is just a little crazy, so I don't really have time to film it, edit it, and upload that part as well, along with this video. So I just wanted to get those dupes out there so you guys could also shop your stash with me if you were feeling that temptation. But I'm actually gonna stop rambling for real this time, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!